Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'll be giving my review for Welcome to Valentine, the new Hallmark films. I'm going to try to pronounce these names. One's not too bad, but the other one's a little tricky. Starring Catherine Davis and Markian Tarasiuk. I don't know how you say it.
Sounds wrong, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to pronounce the guy's name, but I did the best I could there. They play Olivia and George. So basically, in Welcome to Valentine, you have Olivia, who is a struggling artist. She works full-time for this catering service. And she lives with this best friend of hers. The best friend ends up getting a part in a movie and having to move, and Olivia ends up getting fired from her catering job, and so she decides, her roommate convinces her to, in a little bit, to go back home to Valentine. She was going to skip it. She usually goes every year, but she was going to skip this year, but she ends up deciding to go because she really has no choice. She's going to have no place to live. She's got no job. Her art career is not getting off the ground. So to get there, they enlist the help of George, who is her best friend's cousin, sort of. It's like her second cousin, twice removed, or three times removed, or something. Yeah, long distance cousin. And so they take off, because he's driving a car. He's in town because he's taking a classic car back to California to his dad. And he doesn't believe her about this town that she lives in being called Valentine. He thinks it's something made up, which my issue with that one kind of starts my issue with the movie. He could have Googled it. He could have looked it up and seen that it was real. I mean, to me, that kind of was my first flaw with this movie, with many more to come. This movie was a very disappointing movie. The trailer made it look like it had a lot of promise, and it was probably the weakest that I've seen so far of the ones I've seen this year. But anyways, back to the thing. He doesn't believe her, so he takes her home to Valentine, and his car, the classic car he's driving them in to get to his dad, ends up getting severely messed up thanks to a mechanic friend of Olivia's. And so he's stuck there till it can get fixed, and they end up falling in love as he's stuck there and she's there helping her sister.
What else would happen
with the Valentine's Day parade. So, going into details of everything that I had wrong with this movie. Obviously, I just said the whole him not believing her about Valentine, Nebraska. He could have easily looked it up. That was such that oh, that's minor. That whatever. There's a scene as they're driving where they stop at a store, and she gets her some is it Twizzlers? Is that what those red straw vine things are?
Twizzlers or red vines?
It's one of those. Is that candy? And they're standing out. He's just got through, I guess, pumping gas, and she's wanting to get in his car and eat because it's freezing. He says no because he's not allowing drink or food in the car. And basically, from the time that she walked from the store to the car, which was very short distance, her candy froze. Rock hard. Made no sense. It should not have froze that fast, especially when you have both your characters not wearing gloves, not wearing a hat. It doesn't look like it'd be that cold. I mean, it's cold. You can see the breath coming out.
But it's not like Antarctica.
But it's not cold enough to where the food would freeze. They did it for comedic effect, and to me it wasn't funny because it just isn't accurate. So then I'm trying to think of everything I had problems with here. The movie's become very forgettable. Um,
That was only a couple days ago.
I know. And then you get there, and I had a couple issues with the story. First off, the mechanic friend that shows up, they sort of, in the beginning, sort of tease like there could be something there between her and him, because as soon as he like sees George, his whole attitude changes, and it sort of becomes like that jealous ex-boyfriend or jealous best friend that's secretly in love with her type deal. And it never goes anywhere. They never go nowhere with it. It's like they sort of tease it and then take it away, and they don't give it to you. And then also one of the issues I had with the story was once she gets to Valentine, they completely ignore and have no they barely reference the fact that she has nowhere to live. She has no job. She's not trying to get a job while she's in Valentine. Nothing's happening. Like she's not freaking out. She's not trying to find anything. She's not trying to work on her artwork. Trying to boost. She ends up, this friend of hers that she knows commissions her to paint this picture for her kid, for the kid's room, and you never see her paint it. You never see her give it to the woman. You never see anything. It's just like they completely ignore her whole, I don't have a job, I don't have a place to live, I'm trying to get into the art world. It's like they completely ignore that entirely once she gets to Valentine. So, and to me that made no sense why you would build that in the first little bit of the movie and then just completely ignore it later. You would think they'd have her character searching or trying to get into the art business still, trying to get connections and get, and she doesn't do it. It's just like they completely just ignore that. And then there's a scene toward the end of the movie where he has to have a part for his vehicle, but there's no way to get it right then, and he needs it so he can get to California for this board meeting, because he's supposed to become CEO or COO or something of his dad's company. Well, he knows that they're working on floats, and they're working to get this stuff ready for the Valentine Day parade. This woman comes up to him that's been obsessed with trying to get her hands on the parade, stuff going on about the parade, because she's been over it for 30 plus years. She just got taken off off the board or whatever for it, and she's not able to work on it, but she's trying to still work on it at the same time. So she tricks him and says, "Oh, I got the part. You can take all the parts you need for it." Well, she takes him to the barn where they're doing all the decorations for the floats and stuff. You would think his character would know that is not her vehicle, that is what Olivia and her sister have been working on for this parade. But yet he plays dumb. His character is completely dumb to the fact that he is taking the part from the vehicle that they're using for the float. And it makes no sense when he knows that they're working on the parade stuff. So, to me, they tried to add drama, but the drama just didn't make sense for the movie. Then he takes off overnight. They have this minor confrontation at the end. Him and George and Olivia have this minor little breakup, if you will. It's not that bad of a breakup. They don't really, make it seem horrible, but he just says, I gotta leave tonight. I gotta get back to California to do this interview, this board meeting. Well, they have his character pull off on the side of the road and do it over the phone. No real reason. They don't explain why he pulls off the side of the road. He just pulls off the side of the road and tries to does it over his phone with a basically like a conference call. And I'm like, you couldn't have done that back in Valentine? Why are you pulling off on the side of the road and doing it now? Why are you not waiting? Why didn't you do that when you was back in Valentine? You wouldn't even had to left. There would have been no minor confrontation or like breakup, if you will, at the end. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And he ends up going back to Valentine. And then, obviously, I mean, it's Hallmark fans. We all know how they end. He goes back to Valentine. They end up together. It jumps forward a year. I think it's like a year or something like that. And all of a sudden, she's this famous artist. Don't know how she got there. Don't know how she ended up all of a sudden being famous. Don't know if it was the guy's dad that helped, because she did send him something in the mail. Don't know if he's the one that got her famous. There's no explanation for it. She just ends up becoming famous, and we don't have no idea what happens with him. We don't know if he's still with his dad's company. Is he working at the garage with the best friend that the relationship never went nowhere, even though they teased it? Like, we don't know. They don't give us any information. And cinematography-wise, this movie was cheap. It looked cheap. It looked dull, flat. It just did not look like a Hallmark movie. I don't think this was an original. If this was an original, then they had no faith in this film. I can tell right away. But I ended up giving this movie a 2.5 out of 5. And that was being very generous, because it had little to nothing going for it. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 because I thought the acting was okay. The comedy worked at times, and at times it didn't. I mean, the dude dabs in it twice in a celebration scene. I'm like, really? Kind of eye-rolling at times for some of the comedy. But it worked also at times, so I gave it some credit for that. I thought they had chemistry, but it still just wasn't great. It was just okay. The kiss was poor. It was a poor kiss, but I thought they still had some chemistry. And I liked the fact that it actually had the Valentine Day theming. It was something that actually felt like a Valentine's movie. And it's not just... Because my worry was they would get there and it would just be a town called Valentine's. And there would be no kind of Valentine Day theming to it. But we actually got that. So I give it credit for that. So 2.5 out of 5 is a very generous probably score. But that's what I'm going with. Nothing I'd ever watch again. This is one of the worst ones I've seen. Worst one I've seen this year. Worst one I've seen probably for me since I think Jolly Good Christmas, maybe, of the ones I've watched. I think it's the name of that one that I watched last year, towards Christmas time of last year. But this was bad. I cannot recommend it. If you liked it, that's great. I'm happy that you liked it. That's amazing, but it just did not work on hardly any level for me. So that is everything for my review for Welcome to Valentine. So please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell, be notified for our videos, and we will see you all on the next one.